Hello. Good morning. My name is George. This morning I'll be doing a quick one on one of the sessions in the quick labs, configuring an HTTP load balancer with Cloud Alma. Okay, let's start immediately. We right click on that button and select open in a new private window. Then we sign in with our Pluralsight credentials. That's the credentials that Quick Labs uses to identify that you are a student in the GATS program. Okay, so this lab will last for 2 hours and has a total score of 50. If you have issues while running this lab, you can simply come here and click on Run Step, and any errors that exist will be presented to you. So whenever I have issues, that is what you're supposed to do. Okay, so let's close this window, and then of course you need to look at the overview. This is an image of what we'll be working on today, and then of course the objectives are here. I would want and encourage you to read through this overview and the objectives while we go in this session, and let me quickly go to the first task. So let's launch the lab from here, and of course we will be presented with credentials from Quick Labs, and we will use that to sign in into the Quick Labs session. Sorry about that. Let's put this here and let's select this username. Come here, paste that in, hit enter, select the password, and let's give it a few seconds. It should work. Okay, obviously my network is slowed up a bit, so let's just give it a few seconds. We should be back online. Okay, we should be putting the email. Okay, it's asking for the email again, so we have that already, so let's just click on that. Okay, so the password option has come up. Put that in, and then we'll click accept. All right. Okay, so while that is going on, so the first task will be creating our firewall rule that will allow our probes to work and check on our backend. Okay, so that's coming up. The name of the firewall rule, or all the information needed to create a firewall rule, will be found here. And of course we have one more clicking to do in terms of getting ready to work, so let's do that here. Okay, all right, so let's go to firewall rules, which will be network. We'll scroll down, network and firewall. Okay, all right, so we click here to create a firewall rule. Okay, so the name of the firewall rule is this, and it targets specific tags which we need to include. We take that from here, paste that in here, and click outside to get that to change, and then the IP range will be covering subnets. Copy that, put that here. Let's get rid of the space in front. Let's cut this one out, and then hit our space bar, then put that in here, remove this one, Of course, you could just simply type it in. I'm doing this because it's a bit faster for me. Okay, so we'll be allowing access from port 80, so let's click on that, and then any other thing, nothing. Creation of firewall rules is mostly instantaneous, so I can click here and I expect that we will get a good check mark. Okay, so the next thing we do is to create a NAT gateway, actually 2 of them, using Cloud Router. The first one will be routing traffic into the USA backend, and the other into Europe station backend. So let's go to network services. Let's scroll down services and pick on NAT. Let's come back here and pick this information. That's the name of the gateway, and the router will be called NAT Router US Central 1. So let's get started. Okay. Okay, so that's the name, and it will be in the US Central 1 region, and then we'll create a router. The router will be called NAT Router US Central 1. Put that in there, and then the other defaults are there. So a NAT gateway is associated with a router. Okay. All right, so let's do this, and then we're supposed to do another one, this time in Europe. So let's copy that, wait for this one to come up, then we'll create the second one. Okay. All right, so let's create the next one. This, and of course the region is Europe West 1, and then we create a router. The router will be aptly named NAT Router Europe West 1, just like the US one was named. So we'll drop that in there, click on this, everything is good, we should start. Okay, so let's wait a few seconds. It shouldn't take up to a minute to have that up and running. Okay, so that's up and running. Let's check to be sure. Okay, all right, so the next thing is configure instance templates and create instance group. Now you could either create an instance group, and then while creating one you create a template and use that template automatically, or you could create instance groups and then create instance templates and then create instance group from those templates. So I'm going to do both. In the first instance, I'll create an instance group. Then I would create, in the first instance, I'll create an instance template. Then I'll use that template to create an instance group. In the second instance, I will create an instance group directly, or use that method. And then while doing that, I will now create instance group. All right. So, but if you can't do that, you can just follow the instructions. And be sure to check out the settings for each of them so that you don't mistakenly leave out any settings that you're supposed to add. So let's go to compute and go to instance templates. Of course, we'll close this window because we don't need it. All right, so create an instance group, and one moment, and when it's up, we'll begin. All right, so the estimated cost shows up on the right hand side. Let's go down here, we'll click on this, and in here we add the start up script URL. Okay, and then the value there should be what we see here. All right, so copy that, put that in here. Then we go back up, click on networking, and add our network tags. Okay, so copy and place that here. All right, external IP. I don't think it's supposed to have an external IP. There it is. So that's very important. Remove this, and then no external IP, only internal IP. We should be good to go. Let's check on the metadata we added and be sure we got it right. Startup script URL and this. Okay, so we create that. Okay, so that is coming up. Let me not rush the process. Let's let this one come up. It's an instant thing. Okay, now we're going to create an instance group from this one. Okay, all right, so what's the name of the instance group? Let's go down and check it out. Okay, this is okay, this is where we'll actually, in the labs, you will copy the first instance template you create and then use that, alter the name and some other parameters, and then use that for creating the template for Europe West. Okay, so let's go to the part where we create the instance group. The first instance group we will call this. Okay, so we put this one here. What else? Multi-zone and US region. Multi-zone and pick the US region. That's good to go. The template, of course, is the one we're currently using. That you could also go to here and say create instance group, but what we did, we just came from the templates area, clicked on creating, just clicked on creating on the buttons, the three dots to the right of our screen, and then just told the GCP to use that template, instance template, to create a group. So we just supplied information for that group and then let us go. So CPU, we are told, should be 80. Click done. This we are told should be 5, and the cooldown period should be 45. Okay, so let's be sure we are doing the right thing. Let's check. 45 for cooldown, 1 for minimum, 5 for max. CPU utilization is 80. Any other thing? None. So we do what? We click create. All right. Now, while that is coming up, let's go back to, okay, we are still here. So this is where we'd have actually created the group, you know, if you wanted to, but if you're in the template area, instance template area, and you want to create an instance group using a particular template there's no point coming here and, you know, having to reach out back to that position. Just where you are, you can just simply click on those three buttons. These three buttons, select create instance group, and it will just populate the instance template information for you directly. Okay, so let's come here. In this case now, I'm going to create an instance group, and while doing that, I'm going to create a template. So let's click on that one. The template is called this. Sorry, the instance group is called this. So let's do this. Okay, and it's in multi-zone and it's in Europe West 1. Europe West 1, and then template doesn't exist, only this one. So let's pick this template. I'll click on create new template. Now you need to go back up a bit to see the parameters for the West template, and this is the name we're supposed to give. Okay, drop that in there, come down here, select this, come down here, put the metadata, startup script URL, and then pick the URL from here. Let's come up, that's the URL. If you had copied that like the lab instructions directed, then you don't need to do all this. You would have just changed the name and some few parameters. Okay, so let's go up to network and add a network tag. The network tags go down, and it's this. Okay, put that in there, hit your space bar, and of course remove the IP address, and then click save and continue. Now we're back here. We now set up our instance group. Max utilization, CPU utilization is 80%. Cool off period is 45 seconds, and the max instances we can have is 5. All right, so if you wanted it to scale in, you could click on this. That means if it expands, adds more instances, you can come back to the minimum of 1. Okay, so let's create that one. All right, so we have done the 2 and we will check our progress. So we've created 2 instance templates, 2 instance group using instance templates. One method we created a template first, then we created an instance group. The second method we actually went for creating the instance group. Then while doing that, we created the instance template. So if we go back here to the instance template, we should see 2 templates. Okay, so the other one is still coming up. In a few minutes it will come up and we'll see it. There you go. So we have the 2 templates, and the instances are the instance groups that are using those templates. Okay, so we've got this done. Let's click on this. We got something wrong. Okay, let's be sure. Let's go back. Here's all right, let's go to the group. I hope we haven't done something wrong. Europe West template, US 1, zone US was 1. It should be good to go. What have we done wrong? Okay, so let's click here and see. We don't get full marks here, so let's click on this. Points end 0. Why is that? Totally 0. Let's be sure the name is called. Let's go to the instance group. West MIG, Europe West 1, instance is 1. Okay, the template is Europe template. Okay, let's give it a bit of time. Okay, all right. You have errors like this, don't get scared. Just take your time to walk back and find out what you did wrong. Okay, perhaps we need to stick to the method recommended, which is to create 2 templates and then do create instance groups using those templates. It's not even giving me 5 marks. What could be the case? Okay, so let's hold on. Okay, so let me look at the instances being created. Okay, all right, let me SSH into one of them and see if our script actually ran. A startup script which actually ran. Maybe that's where the problem is. All right, let's curl localhost. Okay, the server is up and running on that one. We'll get out of there. Let's do the second one. Let's see what it will tell us. All right, so let's curl localhost. Sorry, not that one. Localhost. All right. US Central MIG. It works. They're both okay. So we have it running. So what's the problem? Let's click here again. I think it's the step we took that might be the problem. 0. Interesting. Okay, see what we will do. We will delete the instance groups and then start afresh. Okay, let's click on that one, delete that one, cancel. Let's just try one more time. Surprise, I'm guessing it's checking on the commands we ran and we didn't do as expected. Okay, so that won't work. So let's get rid of these instance groups, and of course we will get rid of the templates, or we'll leave the templates line. Let's see. Okay, right, so instance groups is getting deleted. And of course, these are managed instance group. That means they are the same machine types. We have unmanaged instance groups where you can use different machine architecture to create your backends. Okay. Okay, so let's refresh this. This takes a bit of time because it has to delete the VM instances that are created as a result of creating instance groups. Okay, so let me just click on this just for posterity's sake. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, let's give it a moment. Okay, obviously we need to follow the exact steps as stated in the labs to be sure we get the full max. Okay. Okay, it tells me I still don't have it made. All right, so it's okay. All right, so those are gone. Let me go to templates. Templates, we should have 2 templates. Okay, good. We have 2 templates. Let me check my progress here, and it says 0. Wow, interesting. Okay, so let's create the instance groups now and see what happens. If it doesn't, then we're in trouble. Or let us save ourselves the trouble, get rid of the templates and recreate them just for good measure. All right, so let's get rid of that one. That shouldn't take long, just take a few seconds and they should be gone. All right, so let's create a template. Let's go up. Let's create the first template, which is for the US region. It's called US templates. Okay, all right, and that's what it's called. Let's go down here, click on this metadata, and of course startup script URL, and then add that startup script. Okay, so copy that, come in here, put that in. Let's copy the network tags that we'll be adding. Oh, I'm suspecting the subnet we didn't get it right. Okay, so that must have been the issue. I'm suspecting that, but let's check it out. Networking tags, drop that in, and then remove this. Okay, so let's come up here. It says default US Central. Okay, the subnet in US Central. Okay, so I'm suspecting that of Europe wasn't done. That's why we had that error. We shouldn't have had that error. Okay, so let's come auto subnet. No. Okay, there is the error. Click here. No, it's to be US. There. Okay, so that's where the problem was. Okay, so we will still repeat. We'll create this. And okay, let's be sure we're good to go. I believe click this. So while that is going on, I will do this. So that's the problem. We didn't set the subnets. I don't remember doing that, so obviously that's where the problem is coming in. So let me do that, go through that process again. Let me create that of instance group for Europe. Put that in multiple zone and Europe West 1, and then instance template, create a new template. Okay, so we have it's better now. I've seen it already. Okay, we're going to create a template, and the template will be called Europe West 1 template. Drop that in there and come down here, click on this, and let's do the network metadata, start up scripts URL, and then supply the needed URL, which is this. Copy, place that one in there, this one, and okay, go back up here. Subnets default Europe, that's it. That's where we had issues. So what do we do next? We're supposed to get the network tags for the templates, which should be this. Okay, so we put that, put this, hit our space bar, and then get rid of the external email, external IP. We put this and check the network. We have the network subnet is in Europe West 1, no external IP, and we hit this. Then we come here and configure the instance group properties. So this should be 5, this should be 45, and we should be good to go, and then we hit create. So while that is doing, we need to go back to the templates and create using the US template. So click here and do instance group. Okay, so the instance group for the US will be called this is the name. Okay, put that in, and the multi-zone, and it's in the US. Template is this, and we'll change this one to 80. Click done. This is 45 and this is 5. Okay, and that should be it, and then click create. Okay, so we didn't set up the subnets properly, so that's where we had errors. So we have 2 templates running, and very soon this will populate. So let's give it a few minutes to get that done. Okay, so when working like this and you run into errors, see if you can correct these errors without actually starting a new lab. Okay, that helps you to understand what actually is going on, because if you know what the errors are and why they were caused, where you have errors, then it's easy for you to understand the inner workings of GCP. So in our case, we didn't actually state out the proper subnets to use for each of the templates, so that's where we had issues. Okay, so instance groups still coming up, takes a bit of time to bring up the VMs. Okay, all right, so it's up and running. Let's see, we should see, okay, the template is there and we're good to go. So let's try out let's see what happens. Okay, so we are now good to go. Now we're going to verify the back ends. We're going to curl it to be sure our servers are running. So we're doing this on the okay, so what are we doing? Let's check it out quickly. Okay, so we're going into the VM in the Europe region, and then running SSH command to see to get into it, and then curling the local host IP address to see if our server is running. So let's put that in there. Okay, it runs, and we are asked to also curl the test the connection by running the following command. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry, that is not what we should be doing. Terminal, and then hit that. Curl IP address. I think we don't have such a variable. I doubt that. Copy the IP address region and then run this. Okay, sorry. So let's copy the IP address of that of Europe. Come in here and do curl. Oh, sorry. curl and then hit that. It works. So that works. So let's clear the screen or clear the terminal. So we can, okay, so let's close that. We will not be using that anymore. All right, so now the fourth task there is to configure the HTTP load balancer. So first off, we create load balancers and then of type HTTPS, and then we'll configure a few things. So let's begin. Let's go to network. Oh, sorry, let's click on this. Okay, go to network, scroll down. So network services, load balancer. Okay, so okay, so the load balancer will is from internet to my VM, and then the name is HTTP-LB. So let's copy this, click on this, create, start this, and from internet to my VM, click on that one, and then we'll walk through the process of setting up the back ends and the front ends. Okay, so let's start with the back end first. This will be the name of the back end using the instance group US Central 1 MIG on port 80, rate mode for that, and then maximum requests per second will be 50 and the capacity will be 100. So we'll be hitting 50 RPS at 100%. Okay, all right, so backend first. So the first one is backend services. Do that. Name is this. Instance group is okay. It's an instance group. What other backends can we have? Network endpoints, zonal network endpoints, and these two: internet network endpoints group and zonal endpoints. So we're using instance group here. So those are the three things you can actually use as backends to a load balancer. So that should be noted. Okay, so HTTP. Let's look at the, okay, leave that one there. HTTPS is not, okay, hold on. Let's be sure. Backend type. Okay, instance group is this. Okay, so let's pick an instance group in the US. Port is 80. What again? My RPS is 50. Rates, not that. RPS is 50. Okay. Capacity is 100. Okay. All right. So that's in order. Click done. Health check. No, we don't have any health check, do we? Not created one yet. Done. Now click add backend. We're going to add another backend. This time is in Europe. Port is 80. Utilization in this time is CPU utilization 80, capacity 100. So this backend utilization 80, capacity 100. Okay, maximum RPS, we're not using that one. Okay, and then click done. Okay, let's be sure we're in order. Let's check the other one. This is rates. Okay, so we're done with that. Okay, all right, so let's go down, click done, create health check, call it this. Health type of health check is TCP. What types of health checks do we have? That's also important. All right, so create health check. This TCP. What other types do we have? We have HTTP, HTTPS, HTTP version 2, and SSL. So we're doing TCP here. And protocol port is 80. Protocol, we didn't state anyone, so none. All right, so every other thing is left as it is. All right, so click save and click create. Okay, so create that one. Then we do front end configuration. Front end, the protocol is HTTP version 4 ephemeral for the IP, external IP address, and then port 80. No name, optional. Okay, firmware on port 80 done. We will add another one, and this time IP version 4, version 6. Okay, so come here, IP version 6, click done. All right, click done, review, and then we create. Let's review our configurations. CPU utilization. This is rates, while this is a CPU. Okay, capacity 100%. Okay, selected ports 80. All right. So, okay, that being the case, click on the name. Okay, click create. All right, so we click create. Let's see if we're in order. All right, so give it a few minutes, and we are told after that we will review the back end. Okay, we've done that. Then we click on the name of the load balancer, and then check out the IP addresses for both version 4 and version 5. Okay, so that is done. Let's click here. Okay, so that's IP version 6, IP version 4. Okay, so the health status of a backend still in checked. Okay, so note this address. We'll be using it later, of course, and check our progress. Let's do this and see. Okay, so we are good to go. Now the last part of it, sorry, not the last part, the next task is test the HTTP load balancer. Okay, so we have a question now that you have created the HTTP load balancer for your backend. It's time to verify that the traffic is forwarded to the backend service. The HTTP load balancer should forward traffic to the region that is closest to you. Of course, that should be true. Now let's access the HTTP load balancer. Open a new tab and pass in the IP4 address of our load balancer. So let's copy this one and just copy it, open a new tab and paste and go. All right, so we give it a few minutes because we are told it will take some time before the traffic will be sent there. So just hold on a bit. Okay. For this one, IP version 6, I tried that on my phone. It works, but my browser, I think that's not enabled, so it doesn't work. Okay. All right. So let's give it a bit of time. Meanwhile, let's create a new VM to use to test our configurations. Let's click and take this to a new tab. So, or this will come on. Just give it a bit of time. Okay, so that's the VM region US West 1 and zone US West 1C. Okay, no, that's it. US West 1, US West 1, US West 1C. And of course, we do the rest. Okay. Alright, so we will install Siege. So let's do that one instead of waiting. Hide this info panel. When this comes up, we'll go in and install the package Siege, which we'll be using which we'll be using to test load balancer. Okay, let's refresh this one and see if there are any changes. Not yet. Takes a bit of time. Okay, let's look at load balancer and see. Okay, monitoring. Let's check this one out. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's click on this. Okay. Okay, so let's press that one, install. Okay, that's been installed. Then we will export the external IP of let's be here, of our Europe, our load balancer, sorry, not Europe, just a load balancer. Copy this one, copy this, come back here, get rid of this, and then put it there, then hit enter. Okay, so we are ready to work with that. Let's just minimize that one, and then for good measure we check to see if that environmental variable has been set properly, and of course it returns the right IP address. So let's wait and hold on before we start to, let's see. Wow, still coming up. Let's be sure. Let's go here. Okay, healthy. Oh, I don't see any healthy. Let's refresh that. Okay. Okay, that of Europe is healthy. That of the US is still under testing. Let's try it now. Let's see. Okay. Okay, try again in 30 seconds. Okay, let's give it some time. This monitor, check on monitoring. Okay, nothing here. All backends. Okay, all backends. We have only one backend. Okay, so all backends. Interesting. Okay, we have two backends here, so not just one. Okay, they are both in order now. Health check checks out. Let's hit that one, and there you go. It's now working. Let's hit that one again, like 5007. I don't know why that exists, but nonetheless. Okay, so let's check monitoring. Let's click on this. Let's refresh this page. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? Run siege. So let's select that. Let's wait for this to come up. Okay, all right, so it's okay. All right, so one backend which is called this, and then okay. Right, let's go to load balancing. Okay, so the backends is one. We just have one. Okay, all right. Okay, so that was the backend we created. Let's come up here. Created that. Okay, so we have one backend. Okay, that's true. One backend and two front ends, I believe. Okay, but let's be sure about that. Configure the front end. Okay, and then review and let it go, and then tests. start with backend first. Okay, backend 1. Okay, backend, create a backend service. Done. Click add backend. So we added 2 backends, but the service is 1. Okay, 2 backends but 1 service. Okay, backend service with 2 backends. Okay, all right. So what are we supposed to do? Let's stress test it and see how it goes. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to a terminal, drop that there, and it begins. Okay, so we click and go to load balancer and click on backends. Okay, so backends, click on this one. Okay, so let's give it a few minutes and see what happens. Okay, all right, so do we have any actions here? Okay, nothing's happening. So what do we do? Let's check on our stress tester. It's still running. Okay, so they said monitor the front end location, total inbound traffic between North America and the 2 backends for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so let's look. Okay, so from North America and the 2 backends. Okay, so these are the 2 backends. One backend service with 2 backends, and then the traffic is here. So it takes a bit before this shows up, so just be patient. Okay, all right, so okay, this is Europe. And of course, if you check the it says at first traffic should just be directed to the US Central Managed Instance Group, but as the request per second increases, the traffic is also directed to Europe. Now US is further from me than Europe is, so mine will start with Europe, and as the traffic increases, it will now split it into the US. So depending on where you are, if you're running this from Africa, most likely yours will be targeting Europe, and then when the traffic increases, in order to balance and stay within the limits you have set, it will now split some traffic and send it to the US. Okay, so that's it. It goes to the US directly. Interesting. Okay, it acted differently when I ran the lab previously. Okay, so it goes to the US. Okay, so most likely that is nearer us than Europe is. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, so that is that. What are we supposed to do? 502 error. I saw that one last time. Return to this and terminate the siege. Okay, it's still running. 2 to 3 minutes. I think 2 to 3 minutes should be up by now. Let's give it 2 more minutes, and then we can now stop the siege. Okay, so we have just one more minute. Let's check the traffic. Okay, we see some traffic being split into Europe. It's minor traffic. I don't know why this 5027 error keeps displaying at the top. Okay, so we see stuff is split into Europe. I have one more minute. After that, we'll stop it. Okay. Okay, remember we set this at 50 and it is 42. So in order to keep it within the limit, some traffic will be sent here. And interesting enough. Okay. Okay, so 2 minutes is up. Let us stop the siege. Okay, we have errors here. Okay, so memory map. I'm assuming the memory invalid pointer. Okay, it's an error in the application, but let's leave that one there. Okay, so what else should we do? We stopped it. It stopped itself. There's an error there. Let's deny this the IP. Let's deny the IP of the siege VM using Cloud Armor. Okay, so the external IP of the siege VM will be needed. Then let's set up Cloud Armor. Let's go here and go to network or security. Network security, I believe. Services, no. Network security, Cloud Armor. Okay, so let's get the external IP of this fellow. Let's click on that, come back here, create a policy. Okay, first of all, let's add the name, which is the name of the policy. Call it this, and then it's allow for everyone. Okay, allow, default rule is allow, and then click next. Add more rules, and this time the rule is enter siege IP. Condition is more basic. Alright, so let's take this, shove that in there. Alright, so that's the first one, and the action is deny status 403. Deny is 403, and priority is 1000. So let's put priority here. Great, done. So we have two rules, the policy and that. Let's go back up here, enter that. Next step, add targets. Okay, next step is add targets. Add targets, load select one. All right, okay, and then done. Okay, all right, and then create a policy. Okay, so first of all, it checks for this IP address, and if it is, it denies it. If not, it passes through, and the next rule says allow all traffic. So while that is coming up, we will check to see that we are doing well. Okay, let's give it a few moments. Unknown failed with unknown error. Wow. Let's click on this again. All right, so it goes through once more. All right. Okay, so that goes. So let's click on this. All right, so then we return to an okay curl the okay. Let's click this, and this time let's clear the screen. Okay. All right, so it might take a couple of minutes for the security policy to take effect. Okay, so let's give it a few minutes and then we will see what happens. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, still going. Let's do it again. Oh, sorry, dismiss, get rid of that one. Let's try it again. All right, so we have 404 error here. It's been denied. So let's go back up here and of course run the siege again and see what happens, whether that will change the traffic. All right, so we come up here, go back here, click on this, go back to load balancer and check, and then click this. Okay, sorry, we need to check on the back end. Go back end, click on this. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, after that we'll be checking our logs. So let's click on deny siege and click logs. Okay, so in the cloud armor on navigation, in the cloud console on navigation menu, on the navigation menu, click on network security, click cloud armor, click deny siege. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go down to network. No, network services, no, it's network security, cloud armor. Click this, click logs, view log policies, log policy logs. Okay, all right, so let's check this one out. Any changes here? No. Let's see. Okay, still running. Click here. Nothing is changing because the cloud armor is blocking any activities coming from that IP address. Okay, so we need to check this. Let's go to no the VM instances. I'm not wrong. Instance. Okay. Okay. Not backend service. Okay. Okay, so let's come up here. We go to on login page, click this, sure. Okay, while we're there we will okay, let's go up here, select cloud HP load balancer from the drop down list, and then okay, load balancer from the drop down list. Let's look for the load balancer. Okay, from the drop down list, come up here. All right, let's see what it tells us. Nothing. Obviously this lab is slightly different from what we expect. It's still happening. No logs showing anything being blocked. Okay, all right, so we are supposed to check the logs and see what is going on, but obviously it's not happening the way we expect it to. But for one, traffic hasn't changed, so it definitely is working. Things have been blocked, okay, requests, let's see, no difference. Okay, it's still the same. Okay, so you need to take note of this. Sometimes, in some cases, the labs are quite old and will not give you the expected results. So okay, so we're done with the lab. We were just meant to check, so we can't see logs here. tell us what is really going on. Let's check on this again, load balancer, this and this. Okay, all right, so let me see VM instances. All right, siege, let me try this one. Nothing, so it's the same, so it's okay. We're done with that. At least if you look at this, there's no change in the traffic, so that tells you your Cloud Armor is working. Okay, the logs are not representing as we would have them. Okay, no. Okay, let's check and see what we actually should be forwarding rule. This HTTP load balancing for one load. So we're in order. This definitely lab is slightly different, and URL of this, nothing is happening. Okay, so that's good. That's good, because traffic here remains the same. So we're sure the Cloud Armor is actually working. So you can close this one. We'll close this. Okay, and of course we stop the lab. All right, so click here and click here, click this one out, and of course thank you for watching, and leave your likes. Bye bye.